All right, cool. She does not like birthday attention. So we'll blow up the love. Okay, good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. So today we're going to talk about DISC. You guys want to dive into DISC a little bit deeper? Okay, cool. Yeah, it's pretty fun. So I'm going to show a little video. And how many of you guys put it in the chat if you guys have taken the DISC test? I'd put like a 1 in the chat. I just want to know how many. Actually, put like the little hand up if you have not. Just, do you guys know how to find that down in the reactions? If you can see the reactions, put your hand up if you have never taken the DISC. Okay, so it's probably going to be you newer coaches over the last couple of months. Okay, cool. So I'm going to show a video. I did a training on this a couple months ago, and as I was doing it, I was looking for a cool video, and this is kind of more funny. It's like a parody. It's overreaction to really explain the styles a little bit more. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll watch this first, and then we'll do some takeaways.
Okay,
so hold on, let's start over.
Okay, so we've established that everyone is different, right? But here's the cool thing. They are predictably different. We all are. And because of that, we can actually predict how people will act or react in a given situation. Our world is made up of 4 types of people. There's dominant, or the D style, influencing, which is the I style, steady, or the S style, and compliant, the C style. Generally speaking, those are the personality types of the people you interact with every day. And I'll let you in on a little secret. You're one of them. Let's take a look. We've all been waiting on an elevator and seen the girl who presses the button, steps back and looks at the button again, then presses it again, and again and again. Yeah, that's a D style. She has places to go and people to see. She's probably always in a hurry, so then she'll tap and hold the button, frustrated, thinking she can actually make it move faster. D styles are dominant, direct, and results-driven people who want to control their environment and then do something to make a difference in their world. Now, let's take a look at the I style. She is Talky Talkerton. Once the doors open to the elevator, she's the one who turns around and starts talking to nobody in particular about pretty much anything. She's an influencer. When the elevator stops, she's the jokester who quips, "Third floor, lingerie, enjoy your day." Now, not all I styles are cheesy people who tell mom jokes all the time, but you see what I mean. Eyes draw energy from people and love to engage. Now, here comes little Miss C style. She's the quiet one. She's kind of off to the side, standing in the front of the elevator, looking at the plaque that reads, "Maximum weight, 2,500 pounds. She's calculating body weight. Uh-oh, if one more person gets on, we're gonna go down. She's on a schedule, but she's allowed herself plenty of time. She's compliant, she knows the rules, obeys the rules, and wants everyone else to do the same. Look at her, how cute. Enter the S personality. She's stable, steady, and keenly aware of her surroundings. She wants everyone to be happy, and she thinks it's her job to make it so. She's the one holding the elevator door open to make sure everyone who wants to get on can do so at their leisure. Meanwhile, Miss D's in the back huffing and puffing about needing to get to her meeting. The S will even take the stairs if there's not enough room for Miss I, who keeps everyone waiting while she finishes her mocha latte frappuccino thing. Harmony and steadiness are a big deal to the S. As a leader, it's important to know these DISC styles so you can begin to better understand the people around you. It's also important to understand that we are all a blend of these styles. Sure, we can adapt those blends based on our environment or when a specific situation calls for one style over the other. But more often than not, we've all got to accept our DISC and learn to live, work, and play and accept these basic truths. So there you have it. We're all different, but we are predictably different.
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right, let's share some takeaways on that. I could see Aisha and I could see Sherry on my screen cracking up. So let's talk about this, guys. It's so fun. And yes, this was extreme. Like D's aren't just like so angry all the time, right? I've got some crazy curls going on today this morning. So let's come off mute, and I really want to dive into this together. It is so fun. I love this topic so much, because when we get really good at this, we connect with everybody so much better. So I'm gonna just call on Aisha and Sherry, because you guys were like dying laughing, and you're the only two people I could see.
I'd love to go first. Somebody just reached out to me and wants to have a health assessment with me, so I'm going to have to go in just a little bit. But yeah, I love the disc stuff, but and I keep thinking I've changed so much. I'm more of this and I'm more of that. But when she said the C, I'm like, yeah, that's been me. I do look at the 2,500 pound capacity on the elevator. But the last time I took it, it showed some other things for me, that I'm actually fairly balanced between D and S and C. Actually, it was I, which is just funny to me. I didn't think I was a talkerton, but then apparently I can talk a lot. So I don't know. It's hilarious. Yeah, ask me anything you want. I'm a C.
I love it. But you've also done a lot of work in this area over the years, right? So
yes, I have. I've dove into it and learned about the other people's styles, so that when I'm listening to them, I can hear fast pace, slow pace, and that kind of gives me an idea which side they're perhaps on. I can also hear, are they detail oriented? Because I'll give you every detail there is in the book, and all that. Or are they, is it more big picture? Let me have control here. Let me just give you the book and you can do this kind of thing. So yeah, I'm learning a lot about it, and I love it, which of course I would, but yeah. And again, the DISC little assessments that you take, I keep thinking, the last time I took it, I thought, I'm going to see if I can hack this and try to make it come out different. And it nailed me just exactly where I was.
I love it. Thank you, Sherry. That's really cool. So Sherry, do we have you for just one more second? So
yeah, I got till 15. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's just say one of these coaches here are working with a client or a coach that primarily is an analytical person. What's the best way to communicate with you?
Details.
Okay.
And let me ask questions. Like, so when you say, do you have any questions? Don't have the next breath ready to say, this is how we do it. Just what questions do you have? And then give me a second, because it's going to take me a minute to think about it. There's a phrase for this, and maybe this is a visual that'll help people. I'm getting my head wrapped around it. Okay. So it's not like I can't make a snap decision, because I can. I mean, you can just ask Janet, when it just took me 3 months to make a snap decision to be a coach. But when I was clear, I'm clear. I mean, I'm the kind of person you want, who's like, I get this stuff. This makes sense. The science makes sense. The mindset stuff makes sense. But give me a second to kind of absorb it a little bit. So I got a couple other things that I might be able to share, because I've done a lot of work on this. So if I can give you some words, would that help? Some words that would help.
Yes.
So
yes.
For us, compliance, the C's, right? We seek accuracy. Our strengths are planning, systems, and orchestration. So all of you I's just fell off of what I'm talking about right now. It's all good. My challenges or areas to be working on. Does this describe me or what? Perfectionism. Critical and being unresponsive. And it's not because I don't want to respond. It's because I'm still thinking about how to respond, right? I can overthink how to put a post up more than anybody else I know. I dislike disorganization as a C. I dislike impropriety. And my decisions are usually methodical. I can't even speak it. So that's, and I can share some of the others if you want. Would that help?
Sure. Well, how about we go into another category and then maybe you can give some
Sure.
more to that too.
So who's a different category? Who else?
Aisha?
Aisha.
Go for it.
You, Aisha.
So I was laughing when I was looking at the clip of the girl pressing the elevator button over and over. That used to be me. What? So if I press it again a couple of times, TV remote, it's not like working fast enough. So maybe if I press it harder, quicker, that might make a difference. After doing a lot of work, I've now kind of moved, I'm kind of blending into DI are my two strong attributes, and C. So it's interesting how I've changed from one very strong way of being to now kind of blending out and being able to recognize in others where they are and where they stand. So, but that just cracked me up completely.
Okay, so can I share some of the traits of a D?
Yes.
Ds seek control. Their strengths are administration, leadership, and determination. Their challenges or areas to work on, focus on, are impatience, insensitive, and a poor listener. So obviously, Aisha, you're working on all of those things because those are all getting better for you. You dislike inefficiency and indecision, and your decisions are decisive.
Yeah, and I remember when I first started coaching, if someone said, "Oh, I want to think about it," I would almost like short circuit in my head because I was like, "What is there to think about? You need health. Here's a program. It's a match. What is the problem?" Okay. After about almost 2 years, I'm now going, "Oh, okay, you need to think about it. You're just one of those people. I get it. All right." And so that's where I sit.
Oh my gosh, we're cracking up over here. That's awesome, Aisha. What a great example. Okay, who else wants to come off that is maybe, let's go to, we did D. Oh, how about an I? Give me an I.
Can I call out Janet? Janet, are you here?
Is she here? I know, exactly. She's a great example. Is she here?
Janet, are you here?
Yes, I am. What?
Sorry.
Oh, what am I supposed to share?
It's your kid coach asking you to share what it's like to live in your world, honey.
Crazy. So this is kind of the promotery, fun, exciting, a little space cadet, a little bit, not organized, but I like vision, big picture, people, excitement, love, don't like numbers, structure. And those are the things that are for real challenging, but when I do it, I have fun. So fun is number one.
Janet, you're perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So eyes seek in recognition. Strengths, as she said, are her enthusiasm. That's the fun. They're entertaining. That's the fun. They are persuasive and persuading because they're the life of the party. Challenges, I think she articulated this well, lack of detail, short attention span, and low follow through. Those are areas of weakness. They dislike, and she's going to say amen, routine and complexity, and decisions are usually spontaneous.
Yep, that's about it.
I love it. Okay, so we did a D, we did an I.
We need an S.
We need an S. I can
Who
take
thinks
this one unless someone else wants it. I'll take it. So So I've definitely transformed into all the categories, but my go-to is love, peace, joy, like caretaking, taking care of people, loving people, comfort, like sweet, fuzzy little animals and coziness and blankets, more of a casual, not formal presentation. Like I'm definitely more of a casual person, but really it's all about, matters of the heart. So want to care for people, love people.
Awesome. So some of these characteristics, they seek acceptance. Strengths are listening, teamwork, and follow through. Challenges or weaker areas to work on are being overly sensitive, slow to begin, and dislike change. They dislike insensitivity and impatience. It's amazing you can work with any of us. And your decisions are usually going to be conferring. What does everybody else think? So, in case
100%, 100%. But the cool thing about this, you guys, is that we really do want to morph into all of them and really know who we are talking to, who we're talking about. The importance of this is, we want to get to know who we're working with. So I'm going to use these people here in the background, my backdrop here. So they had a great experience yesterday in working in this. I sent them all to the back, and they were all, they did the DISC assessment together, and then they had some great takeaways of what this did for them in their communication style, working it together. So who wants to go first with some takeaways? I'm going to go to Allison.
So I'm a high D, and second is I, and I am very controlling, and but I'm also very engaging, and I like to stimulate people and bring people together and make people happy and, increase the vibe. And so that was really enlightening, and it helps me understand myself. But then I got to know my friends here and their style, and the communication that came about in us discussing our scores and our style and our characteristics just helped me get to know my team so much better. And I walked away just feeling like, wow, these are individuals that, have their own story, their own capacities, their own strengths, and I know better what they are. And so I can work with them more easily, communicate with them better, and maybe appreciate their strengths a little bit more. And it just kind of brought me into more of a heart space with my team. And so it was just a really wonderful experience to go through the DISC with them.
Awesome. Who else wants to go?
I mean, you go first, Letitia. Yeah. Well, I just found it very interesting. I certainly learned some things about myself, and it's just kind of got me thinking deeper, what my communication styles are, why I struggle with some of the things I do and why some things seem to go well. And I see there are just times where I'll read, I'll be like, oh, I can see all these categories in me, and I can see where I've shifted over the last few months in some ways. So, I'm kind of like, I'll be able to get more centered as I continue to work on these skills. But yeah, it really helps me to kind of think about how to tap into my strengths, how to improve in other areas, how to communicate with my team. And I'm a new coach, and I have one of my clients, I'm having a lot of communication not issues with her, but she's really struggling with motivation. And we definitely have quite a lot of differences in our personality. And so I'm very interested to have her take the DISC test so I can figure out, what's going to make her tick better. And then I look forward to, having hopefully all my clients one day take this test, and to really be able to connect with them and speak their language. What do we call it? Like their planet?
Yeah, like what planet they're living on.
What planet they're on,
and their styles too, like whether they take a test or not. And I don't know that everybody would want, every client would be open to that. But what we're looking for in people, you want to know, are they a fast talker? Are they a slow talker? Those are some, and I'll go over a couple slides here in a minute of clues that we're looking for when we're talking to someone. So it's honestly as basic as that, you guys. Like if they're a fast talker, then you need to talk fast. Like give them what they need. If they're a little bit slow talker, a little bit more emotional, talk a little bit more about their feelings. Like what's it going to feel like? And we'll dive into that in just a little bit here. So it's really more like us really looking for clues, and the better clues we're listening for, the better we're going to be able to communicate on that. So Mark and Michelle, do you guys have any takeaways?
Well, first of all, I want to say when Lori said, hey, why don't you speak a minute today about your takeaways? I'm like, I'm an analyst. I need 6 hours to prepare and I've got to do this perfectly. And so I could relate to what Sherry was saying in the video, like even in the airport coming, like Mark, his little mask would dip below his nose a little bit. And I'm like, it's the rules. You can get in trouble with that. You know what I mean? So definitely sticks out. But yeah, what I learned is, you know, you go up with the adage, treat people how you want to be treated. Well, that's not true. If I treated everyone like I wanted to be treated, which I've done too much, it's not going to have the best results. They're going to be like that video we just watched where they're, you know, I'm not meeting their needs. And so, yeah, so I was looking over just some of the stuff like, you know, Alice and Letitia and Mark are both, you know, they're all fast paced in their approach. Well, I'm slow paced. So that means I need to be cognizant when I'm interacting with them to be fast paced. And with Allison, like the eye, she wants like quick answers. She doesn't want me thinking, give me 5.6 minutes to think about this, or 2 hours and I'll get back with you. You know, so I just, you know, this is going to help a lot. And I love tests, and especially being a therapist and a, you know, analyzer. I just love stuff like this. So I look forward, like Sherry has done, to dig into it more. So I can be a better coach and mentor and just help my clients better as well. So.
Awesome. Mark, do you have any takeaways?
Yeah, being a D, and I've been a D my whole life, you know, they were all talking about how they've changed and all that. And I guess I feel more comfortable in D because I haven't changed all that much, in that I can see early on when I was a young boy, I was a D. I was, you know, always hurting, always, you know, trying to go for the leadership role, that type of thing. But one thing I did grow is through that is learning, especially when I was an assistant chief of fire department, learning other people's strengths and weaknesses, and then promoting their strengths and putting other people into their weaknesses. So the D, and then, you know, I also still have a tendency to be almost like an Australian Shepherd dog that tries to herd at time instead of letting people be on their own, you know, kind of keeping it tight and herd. So, but a lot of growth. It was very interesting to do this because my wife's been trying to get me to do this for a long time.
I love it. It's awesome. A little resistance there, but it's worth it. So thanks, guys. So guys, really, let me share my screen here really quick. And, okay. All right, and I use these slides. I'm not going to go through them all, but I love just kind of going back to this. Wouldn't it be cool if we could all improve the way we work together? Like if we really look at this as dreaming, like, could you imagine? Like if you could better get along with your spouses and your friends and better get along with your children and really just take the time to really focus on how can I communicate better so that they, you know, if we're living on these different planets and this is the way we see life and hear things, what if we could just pop onto their planet and kind of speak their language a little bit? We don't have to change who we are, but it is important to know who it is that we're talking to. And wouldn't it be cool if we could understand the need of all the people around us and really become those active listeners, speak the language so that they can actually understand us? Wouldn't it be cool if we could become more empathetic and we had a more clear understanding of how to communicate with people, right? Who challenge us the most? Think about those people who challenge us the most. That is what really kind of catapulted my growth into really learning this stuff, is because I sat so much in that victim triangle so much of my life because I'm like, why are people so mean to me? And I lived in that space for so long until I realized it's like, you know what? Everyone's dealing with their own stuff. the way they talk to me with their directness or whatever has nothing to do with me. It doesn't mean I'm like a weak person, but I always felt so weak in that moment. But this strengthened me. So, learning to live in the empowerment triangle and not go victim to personal relationships. And this is like what Michelle was talking about. The golden rule, right? Treat others the way you would like to be treated. But really, no, in this area, it is the platinum rule. Treat others the way that they would like to be treated. And that's really what this is about. This is about us learning how to speak their language. So let's open it up for some conversation. I don't have any journaling questions today, but let's just do a couple, takeaways, questions, anything, who wants to jump off mute? Come on, guys, don't be shy.
I'll talk.
Okay.
I'm learning to right now with my family, my daughters, learning how to. There's consensus amongst all three, that's including Tracy, that I need to learn to listen better and listen. As opposed to what I'm being told that I'm lecturing. And so I'm still trying to figure out some of that blind spot area. Sometimes it's kind of like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what and so I'm working through that with the closest ones in my life. But in general, I'm like the high D and high I. And so I'm totally resolved, and I live in that space. So I do it unapologetically with that kind of understanding of how and many times I'm always I always say kind of to my daughters as they would grow up, I would say, be a force of nature, and it's like, be the influence. Don't set the temperature. Don't be the one that fills the room out, and so I have, in some ways it's just like fine-tuning some of those nuances about myself and learning how, again, I think I can improve on mirroring a little more, rather than as opposed to just like, okay, hey, this is the way it is, what I see it, and, conform to it or whatever. But just my, I find when I'm in my flow in what brings me, when I'm just in that place, is that I love the result of being able to influence people, to be able to persuade towards their best, what I would see as their best interest, or what is just inspiring, to encourage, to draw out, and part of that, what drives me on that is that I find the older I get, I'm 57, the older I get and the shorter life is, and the reality of we don't know, seize the moment. You're in this conversation with these people, speak into the situation. You don't know what you can alter, because you may not cross paths again. So be intentional about every relationship. There's no coincidences, and so therefore, since we are here, what is it that I'm to learn and receive, and what is it that I'm to speak into that might be a burden, an impression on my heart, and let it go where it goes, in tactfulness and love and all of that. So, all that.
I love it so much, Brian. There's a lot of gold in what you just said right there. So awesome. Let's just spend like 2 or 3 more minutes here. We've got some powerhouses in this area, in this group. We got a lot of personal growth and development people that used to teach this stuff. We've got Janet, we got Greg, we got Tracy, we got Gina, that's just who I'm seeing on my screen. Anybody want to jump off mute and just share about maybe some tips as you're learning the flow? Sometimes people get stuck in their head in this process. Anybody have any tips? And just like as people are learning to develop this style and things that you're looking for to make this a simpler journey in communication. Anybody want to pop off?
I will. I'm sorry.
Okay, Janet and then Greg, because we never get to hear from Greg, but Janet, go first and then Greg.
I get to hear from Greg for hours. No, I forgot what I was going to say. No, you know what? This is such a valuable exercise because it shows us honestly, even though we may show on the test, oh, I don't have any of that D, or I don't have any of that I. Actually, we can all relate to everybody else. And it's not that hard to put yourself in the middle and realize that we are capable of speaking in other people's language. We just model them. That doesn't mean we are that, type, but the better we are able to flow with, and the more that we just kind of sit in the middle and realize we have the capacity to move in and out of other people's worlds, like you said, we can visit their planet. And ultimately it makes us be the whole solar system, because we can be on all of these planets, um and it just makes our universe bigger. Wow, these are great metaphors, Lori. That was good. This is outer space. That's the kind of stuff I like.
I love it. So awesome, Janet. Thank you so much. Were you done, or did I cut you off?
No, I'm on another planet right now, so thank you.
Okay, I want to hear from Greg, because he's always silent and he's got so much to offer here. So go for it.
Hi, Lori. Yeah, Janet's on her own planet. So it's Planet Janet. I visit there rarely, but when I do, I stay for a while. No, I just tend to listen. I think a few weeks ago, Carla brought it up, in listening to understand. And in communicating with people, I think the number one thing is to listen. And what I do, I kind of do it inherently. So I don't know if I learned it or it just came, but I mirror their, like Sherry said, I mirror the way they speak. If I'm one-on-one with somebody like Janet, I'll speak a million miles an hour, right? And then I know as I'm mirroring her, it's like you meld, and then you get on their planet, so to speak, right? And connect. And then if I'm speaking with someone that has a lower cadence or a more calmer energy, like yourself, Lori, it's like I can go there too, right? And then I start feeling your vibe, and okay, cool, right? And then they connect, because you're connected, they connect with you. And I used to tell people, that are doing, I don't know, presentations and such, I said, look, don't worry about the scripts and all that. I said, just go up there, introduce yourself, connect with them, and ask them to do it. And then, that's it. And so it's really, there's some cool exercises to do too on mirroring. It's funny if you have a group of people to just draw names out of a hat, get with each other, and then practice it, because it's so odd, right? There's people that speak, like, I could totally relate to Brian, what he was saying, because I don't know if it's cultural or what, because a lot of times that plays as well, but to understand it. And I used Aisha's post the other day about, if you're a burglar and you could go into a house, you take something. My friends must be a cracker, because I'm reading these and I'm imagining walking into a house with those things missing, and I'm laughing throughout reading these, right? Making my day. But I think in the communication and the disc, and I looked back just while you're doing your presentation on it, and I had done one in 2013, and I did the one with us last year, 2020. And I go, wow, it didn't change a whole lot, like the I was high and the D was high and the rest were like there. And so, and I know that about me, like when I get with somebody that's more on the, I guess it'd be the S and the C's, the supportive roles, and the, be there and connect and go to my loving space. And it takes practice, it does. And to be aware of when you're doing it, so that when it'll become automatic or unconscious competent, right? So yeah, so that's my biggest tip. Listen and mirror the tone, the speed, even on voice messages. If you get someone's voice message, you could tell how they are just by their voice message. So that's what I got, Lori.
Thank you, Greg. That's awesome tips. I would love, like, maybe we could do some fun exercises. Wrap your head, you and Janet, Tracy, like, you guys get your minds together of some things we could do via Zoom that we could do maybe together. Because I'd really like to, this is really what can change everything, like everything in your life. And I'm just reading your comment, Sharon. You said, I don't think I'm smart enough to speak others' language. I'm a slow talker. I feel like it's hard to change that each time I talk to someone. So I want to talk about that for a second, because if you look at this more like, I look at it more like it's a game. At first, it was like I was so in my head as I was trying to think. And I used to look at people in the D category as like those mean people. Like, why are they so rude? You know, but and then I'm just like, I want to understand them more. So Sharon, I'll encourage you to think about more of this as a learning opportunity and saying, like, I want to learn this. Because if you look at the value on the other side of this, like, can you imagine what it would feel like? Sharon, do you mind coming off mute?
Hi.
Hi. Okay, sorry. You went there, so I'm pulling you off mute.
Oh, no.
What do you think it would feel like for you? So are you primarily like a high S?
I'm a high C, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
more analytical.
Mhm.
So what part of that feels like you're not smart? I don't like to say they're not smart enough. We're going to correct that too. But
Yeah, right. I know that was probably a bad word, but I think it's just that because I am such a slow talker, just that's how God created me or whatever. I think too, because I'm thinking at the same time I'm speaking, that it takes me a while to get something out. And for me to pick up on somebody that's probably, you know, quicker and wants to hurry up and get this over with, or, you know, whatever the situation is, it's like, I tend to shut down at that point because I feel like, okay, they're tuned out, you know. Anyway, that just in that kind of respect is what I'm saying.
yeah. Janet, do you want to come off and work with her for a second?
Sure. Yeah, I was just thinking about what she was saying, and I think you're actually communicating that well. We're always thinking in the moment, so we can't actually divorce ourselves from our head at the time, but that's a good thing. And you may speak slower, which is actually a good thing too, but that doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to speak faster. And it's not really, you know, tit for tat, so to speak. It's like you got to speak really, really, really fast. It's just raising your frequency, that's all, to match that other person. So it's kind of less of an analytical process. It's more of a empathetic, intuitive connection process. So it's really less about thinking and just more about being. And that just also comes with practice too, you know. And so when you're with that person in the moment and you're really tuned into that person, you kind of forget about you. And like Greg was saying, you just kind of visit their planet, so to speak, or meld with them. So I think for you, it's just trusting the fact that you are a great communicator, and it's just learning and being open to other people's timing and pacing and you know, just tuning in. So that's a heart thing, less than a mind thing. So we all have that capacity, and it's just practicing it. And it's a lot more fun and a lot less stressful than having to think about it all the time. It's just exercising a new muscle.
I like what you said, Janet, about the frequency, because that makes a huge difference, because I'm pretty monotone. So a lot of times when I get on a health assessment, I pick it up, you know, try to get that energy going.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Thank you for that.
And you know what, just one more thing, like, because I'm such a high I, monotone people in their speaking, and also people that don't give me visual cues with their facial expressions, are the hardest people for me to read. So for me, I have to really dig in and connect, because my eyes are fooling me. Like, I don't see the excitement. If they say their excitement, I'm like, will you please tell your face, because I don't get it. or tell your voice because I can't hear it. But if I tap into their heart, you know, to their beingness, they're just being them. I have to, honestly, it's better for me to close my eyes sometimes and just, you know, connect. So good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Janet. And then I think Greg and Tracy wanted to speak to that. Is that right? Greg, were you raising your hand? Were you going to? Oh,
Yeah, just a quick one was that just because, you know, don't compare the way your cadence is. It's that when I get with someone like when you're just speaking right now, it was like, wow, you really care. You generate or you portray like you care about people. So that's not a bad thing. So don't, you know, maybe you could visit Planet Janet every once in a while, but at the same time, it's like what you have is valuable too. And that's where I got to go to that space sometimes if somebody, you know, is talking with your cadence, because I know that, or somebody like, if you're the coach and I'm the client, I would get that you care about what I'm, you know, what you're saying, you care about me. And so that does portray with your person. So take that as a big plus, because it's hard for some people. Sometimes, like knowing Janet for so long, and I know I do it too, when we're talking so fast, sometimes people think we're not caring about them. So there's something else for you.
awesome. Thank you. Tracy?
Yeah, I was going to pretty much say the same thing that they're saying. It's about the mirroring. And I think that like you don't have to overcomplicate it. Just when you get on a health assessment or whatever your interaction is, a client call, you're meeting someone for the first time, just first of all, breathe. Really, just take a deep breath. And I try to let the other person talk first if I can help it. Or if I say hello, I try to do it very medium of the road to see how the response is. And then just start there, like modeling what their energy is. Because if you go, hey, because that's you, but they're like, hello, you lost them. Do you know what I mean? And I felt that. You can feel that over Zoom, over a call. So it's once you make that initial connection, and here's my practical side of me. You don't have to get all this right now. Just start with that one thing. Just start with one thing. Take a deep breath and listen and try to match that first tone to connect. And then what I love practically is our health assessment. It's almost like a psychological profile. It gives you everything you need. Once you get over the fact or the part where you're just using it as an intake, it's so not an intake form. It's a questionnaire or a conversation starter. Erase the questionnaire. It's a conversation puzzle that you're just in a conversation, asking some questions. You don't have to ask them all. You just have to put the puzzle together. So when you look at it like, I think someone said a game, I think Lori might have said it's like a game. You're just trying to have a conversation and put the pieces together in their tone, in their speed, in there, but you don't have to get it all at once. Just start with that first thing, identifying, kind of like our other identify, just identify maybe first who they are and just be about them. And once you get into identifying and being about them, the rest will come. We have the tool is in our hands. So don't try to figure it all out. And then the next time you interact with them or when you're done, kind of review and think like, how was that person? Where might they fit? Like you don't have to get it in that moment, as long as you're moving forward a little bit at a time. Does that make sense? So breathe is the most important thing. Otherwise you're all bunched up to start with.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then Rocio wanted to say something real quick.
I do want to say something. I want to affirm, Sharon, that you're doing such an amazing job with, I don't think you even realize it. So I'm a high I and you party with me all the time. You'll put your party hat on with me. That is reading, the situation. And before doing our connection calls with your clients, we'll ask them like party hat, no party hat. Like you're already assessing what kind of vibe they've been giving you on the last 7, days or so. To be able to know, okay, are they ones that we just want to hang out? And I love I think Tracy, what you said about reading their voice, having them talk first. But I just want to affirm that you're doing such a great job in being able to assess. I think that it's starting to become something normal that you don't have to think about too much, and that might be weird. So I just want to affirm with you, like the whole reading of people, I've been able to see you accomplish that more and more. So I'm happy to come alongside you more with that, but how exciting to see you grow. And thank you so much for all you other coaches, like pouring into her, like Sharon's and Jim's. So I just love how we're able to do this together. So if anyone else is scared to chat, look what just happened. They don't know Sharon, and so incredible what we have in this community.
Love it. Thank you. And that's so cool. You guys, we are very blessed that we have this community. Like we really do. I don't know that a lot of you guys understand how many experts, we're going to say, in this area that we have in our group. So does anybody else, I mean, like, or we could stop and do, you know, power hour time too, but we can maybe do one more. Does anybody else want to come up mute with something that they would like to grow in this area, or questions? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, not particularly that, but just a comment to Sharon. Maybe what you're saying to people in a nice, slow way is finally opening the light bulb for them, and maybe they're finally understanding more about our program. So maybe you're exciting them, and that's why all of a sudden they speed up, because you finally opened the gate for them. I mean, it was obvious when Sherry talked earlier. She said something about our minds and how we change and how we perceive things and thinking about them. And maybe you just opened the gate for them. So think of it in a positive way. And honestly, I think you shared great with us today. So keep that confidence coming.
Agreed. I love that. Stephanie, I am going to call on you because you put it in the chat. So you really have grown a lot in this area. What gold do you want to share with just what you've applied into your life? Because it's been amazing to watch you.
Well, I think the biggest thing was just getting myself out of the way. Once I kind of knew who I was as a person and how I communicated, then it wasn't on me anymore. It was focused on them. And so over time, as I became more focused on what I'm helping to serve them, the less worried about, it was easier to match what their tone, their personalities, and what was coming through. For me, I'm an SC. I have no idea. They're almost exactly the same. So I don't know what personality I am, but I'm definitely not D, and I'm definitely not I. So, you know, especially the D, like those, they scare me usually. They used to scare me. I'd get on and I thought, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So when I really realized that what the information I was giving them was serving them, and just being able to just accept that this is how I'll communicate, but then listen for the clues that they're looking for, the things that they share, and they still have pain points. It just might take a little bit longer to get those out because they're ready to go. They just want the facts and move on, and they want to just get it done. And like I have a coach that I work with, and I get on the phone and she's like, She just wants to hurry up and get through it. And I've learned to just be like, that's just how she's responding. And I still have things we want to talk about. So I just continue to share through it. And I know that she's getting value from it, because I'm not worried about, oh no, how am I influencing her? Or am I boring her? Or am I not, I've learned to remove that. And I don't know if it's just time of just taking in and again, just putting the focus not on me, but on them.
You're definitely, and yeah, I definitely see some S in you, because of so many things. People stress me out when they're just like, yeah, like stop, you're stressing me out. So if you're a high D, please slow down for people. Don't rush them through. Like really, I'm right there with you. That is like one of those little triggers for me. I'm like, okay, do you want me to stop right now? Because definitely a learning curve there. Who else? Anybody else? Go ahead, Sherry.
So I have a graphic that for those of us who are high Cs and we need all the details, but even if you're not, we can think that was my thought process, that everybody else in the world must be a D. Right? And if I'm not a D and an I, how could I possibly be an effective coach? Right? So when in some of my training on DISC, there's a graphic that I have that shows the percentage of people that are these I, C's, and S, and actually more of the people we're talking to, hang on to your hats, they're S's. And so some tips in this graphic that it could help, and I can share it if you want. I don't know if you want me to do that, Lori.
Sure.
Okay.
You can't tease us with that and not share it.
Well, you know, that was part of my plan. I already thought that out. No, just kidding. So when you see, and so there's colors here for the people who need that excitement. There's some color here. And for those of us who need the numbers, there's numbers in less colors all around this. But you can tell where people are a little bit, like we said, about just say, are they, when you're first interacting with them, are they an outgoing person or are they more reserved? So more people are reserved, bigger number, more reserved, lesser number, that outgoing. So if you split it top and bottom, and then if you split it side to side, more task oriented. So do you hear them talking about do, like the to-do list? I was a to-do list queen. All you had to do is ask me, do I have a to-do list? And I would say, yes. And you're number 3 on the list. Or are they people oriented? Like, you know, Janet, you just want to be with people, right? Or so you kind of look at it this way, and you can pretty quickly figure out what is their predominant communication style. So the other thing I would say is that I had to learn is this is not a label. Like I would say I'm an analytical, but I'm not an analytical like that likes to look at all the teeny tiny numbers. I mean, I do a little bit. Yes, there are spreadsheets, but I'm not like analyzing all those numbers and things like that. There are other tasks that I'll do. So when you break it down like this, are they outgoing? How can you tell? Are they active, fast-paced? Everybody's talked about that. They have more usually loud, assertive speech. So I'm learning these things and using them. Or are they calmer, softer speech, more moderate pace, more thoughtful? And if you're kind of figuring out, well, I'm kind of down here in this reserved quadrant where 86% of the people are, now it's just, are they kind of task-oriented or are they people-oriented? Obviously, I mean, so Steph says she lives down here in this C and S. So we can see she accomplishes tasks. She also likes to help solve people's problems. 69% of the people that we are talking to, that is where they are. So for me, having that knowledge, it's like, well, if I'm going to bet odds, the person I'm now going to pick up the phone and have a health assessment with, maybe in that quadrant, is that how I'm going to be communicating with them? So any case, I don't know if that's helpful for anybody else. I made that into a graphic, a JPEG if you want me to throw it in the something or other.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, maybe do you want to throw that in the Dufresne coach support page? That would be awesome. Thank you. And I'll put that video in there too. Some of you guys were private messaging me asking for it. So anyway, anybody else? Since we're taking up the full hour, we might as well go a couple more minutes. Go ahead, Annie.
That really helps, Sherry. Thank you so much. And when I took the test, everything was sort of in the middle, except for the D was like way down. And but when we were talking about it at Lori's, I was convinced I was an analytic. And so I feel like I'm wondering if because I can see all of them except for the D, I'm like Lori, where I think everybody's mad at me. And I'm like a real people pleaser. I wonder if I'm already sort of in the middle, and that's why I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. And and again, I don't really have a great question. That was it. I just don't get it. But I wonder if it's because somebody told my mom was really into astrology when I was a little kid. And she said she is a Libra and everything has to be fair, but she has a hard time making a decision and she can see all areas of it. And sometimes I feel like I'm really an empath, but only because I understand things, not because I feel what they feel. Does that make sense? So yeah, welcome to my brain.
Does anybody want to jump into that with her? Greg, Janet, Tracy, anybody?
Yeah, if you could fix that, that would be awesome. That's where I'm a D. I'm like, bottom line. All right, tell me the thing. Don't make it too hard.
Greg, do you
No,
want to?
there's absolutely nothing to fix here. Absolutely nothing. Like, we are just unique. That's fun and funny. Your mom was in astrology. Like, you can find analogies everywhere.
Mhm.
And you said something interesting. It's not like you feel it. No, what did you say? It's not like you think it or you feel it. The
Well,
balance.
I can understand
Oh,
where
understand it.
somebody comes
Yes.
like intellectually. Like I can understand Lori's planet and the
Right.
dominant planet or whatever, but as far as like feeling it, it's a little different. And then being able to, I think maybe it's just practice being able to kind of you know,
Well,
learn to
that's a
listen for
very,
it.
very valuable point, because sometimes just using words like let's say, I would say you need to feel that person, but that's not your language. And
Mhm.
yet if you understand them, it's the same thing. We're just, maybe we experience it differently, but right there is a label. Like somebody said, none of this is a label. It
Right.
isn't. It's just a propensity, like a preference. But that's so cool that you feel it. Like a friend of mine said she never ever can visualize. Like she can't see things in her head. I don't believe that, because you can picture your bedroom or your bathroom or the person that you love. It's like, but there are people that are highly visual. And so we all get an impression. So it doesn't have to be a certain way. It doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to see it, exactly in your mind. If you just understand it, that's enough. Does that make sense? So that's really a very important point, that you don't feel it, you understand it. So that helps us feelers understand people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
good
I know
share.
that a lot of this is going to come with practice.
Yes.
And this is fascinating to me.
It is fascinating.
Yeah. It's funny that one thing that I read in one of them, I get them all mixed up. I read in one of them that when you are in fear, some of the things that you do, and the first thing I do in fear is step back and I try to understand everything, and then I get lost in the details. And
yes,
it feels like I need to understand anything before I can take even one little step forward. And then when I'm not in fear, I'm like, well, heck, I'm just going to do it. And if it doesn't work, well, then big deal. And it's so weird how my emotional state can affect how I react to things.
Well, that's another really, really important point, because under fear, under stress, anytime we're stressed out, we automatically default to our ingrained behavior. We go back to, how we operate the majority of the time. We lose the ability to choose in that moment with the stressors around us. We just fall back into those behaviors. And if you think about it, think about food and eating. For people, when they're stressed or emotional, they fall back into that pattern of comfort or security or whatever that they need. So stress puts us back in like the basis element of who we are. So we usually don't have that option to, be really finessed in our thinking. We lose that ability. It's just, we just respond. So look how smart you are. Look at all these amazing points you're bringing up. It's fantastic.
I'm often smart without knowing it.
Well, it's time you know it, because you are smart.
Thank you. Yeah, and you really make a good point about stress. I noticed the other day when I got into an incredibly stressful situation, which doesn't happen to me very often because I'm pretty even keeled. I saw myself just going into my, the part of the drama triangle that I grew up in.
Yep.
And, apologizing for something that wasn't my fault. It doesn't matter if it was my fault. I just wanted to get off the phone, or get off the Zoom, because I was like, I just need to be safe and I need everybody to agree. I need everybody to be at peace. They say that's a
Right.
Libra thing too. So maybe because my whole life everybody's saying these are your Libra traits, which I'm not even sure if I believe in that, but
Right.
it's kind of the way I think I automatically am. And I love what you say, that you can see, I'm looking at it as a, if you can't fix it, feature it, right? So because I'm able to see all sides of it, then that might be my superpower.
Love it.
Rather than what holds me back.
Exactly. Well, and usually it's one and the same things. Like our biggest strengths are often our biggest weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole nother hour for you to talk about.
I want to continue all of this, you guys. I think maybe Wednesdays or something, we can do a little bit more growth and tap into all the great skills that we have in this group, and let you guys shine in that area to help do that. So that would be awesome. I just, one more quick share. Elle, do you have a quick one? Because we're right at the top of the hour. Do you want to share something real quick?
Oh my gosh, pressure to talk fast. I just wanted to say, I've been listening for this whole time, and I did this assessment. I like to call it assessment rather than a test, so people don't get all like crazy with a lot of my teams in the past before Optavia. And I know for me, I had a really hard time. I'm a strong D. And when I was listening to Aisha, I was like, oh my God, girl, we're like, yeah. And I've had times where I have a little bit of I, in there, and then sometimes that goes away depending on the stress level. But I had a hard time just accepting who I was. Like always wanting to be that, like, I want to be the I want to be the fun person. Why do I always have to be so, and being a woman, like, oh, the D's, like, that's not attractive, and just having a lot of things around it and not realizing the gift of who you are. So I just want to say, you guys, this is unique to you, just like your gifts. Yes, we want to learn to grow and understand other people for sure. Like in my assessments, I've just learned over the years to kind of not read the room, but get an idea of what's going on with someone else. And these are great tools. And we want to be more balanced, but enjoy who you are, because God made you that way for a reason. And there is power in that. And it took one of my professors when I went back to college, like as a 40-something-year-old, to say to me, you know what, Elle, this is when we did Strength Finder, my number one thing was competition. There's another one that's like a high D thing. And, I didn't want to own that because I thought it was a bad thing. And she's like, this is how you were designed. This is awesome. Like, I've never seen a woman with that, trait or whatever. And so for all of you that have, kind of been like, oh gosh, I don't like the way that I am. That's a beautiful thing, the way you are. And we can bring that balance to other groups. So like Sherry, when I listen to you, I just laugh because I have the hardest time sometimes with that analytical, because I'm the D. So I'm like, let's hurry this up, So it's just understanding and loving those characteristics of other people without not receiving who you are. So that's all I wanted to say.
Beautiful way to wrap us up. Like, seriously, that was the perfect way. So thank you for that. And guys, let's start. Who wants more of this stuff? Yeah. So let's do more of this stuff. Maybe we'll name it Wisdom Wednesday. I was thinking, I'm like, what will we call it? If you can think of another W word or something like that, throw the ideas out there. But I'm going to be calling on you, Janet, and your crew. So I'm
we better wise up.
Wise up. So let's do it, guys. Like, seriously, this is the stuff that really is going to not only help you grow your businesses, but really just step into your greatness, like Elle just said, and really just love who you are, stepping into your genius and being able to shine for the world, and bringing our greatness into that. So anyway, love you guys. You get the rest of your day to Power Hour. How about that? Sorry, we took away from your time, but I'm sure this brought you great value. Thank you to everybody who shared. Have a good day, everyone.